to the outside. So if it's, say, a running play to the right side, we will go ahead and have the offensive lineman sprint out to the right side, somewhat flat along the line of scrimmage originally, and then try to work their way upfield probably about 5 to 7 yards outside of where the linebacker had lined up originally. This will give us a chance to be successful. We want to try to get the head to the outside and sprint through the block once we get there. Again, as you watch the players here, a flat step, eyeballing the linebacker the entire time, and then make our way upfield. 71's head is a little bit behind. We'd like to see that in front, but overall, pretty decent job. Now, on these outside plays, oftentimes it's tough to get there in front of the linebacker. Oftentimes they're a little bit better athlete. So what we try to emphasize here is sprinting, getting locked up into the player, and then just doing our best job that we possibly can to ride the individual out. Here you get a look at the practice plan here, or the practice tape, I should say. Pretty good job by both individuals, sprinting to get to the outside about 5 yards from the original start point, locking up and riding the individual out and finishing up with the head to the outside. Overall, pretty nice job. The next drill that we teach is the double team, and we teach this every day to our tight ends and tackles, and our guards and tackles, and our centers and guards, because in each situation we do use these different combinations to double team. We think it's important that we do this every day, and no great secrets on this here. It's more about the technique of things, where we will partner two people up together, and then we try to walk them through things as far as the what we're looking for in a good solid double team. And things that we're looking to do is to go ahead and always get the two bodies on one. We're looking to have both of our inside legs slightly in front of our outside legs as we move up into the man. That'll keep our shoulders ahead on the inside, which creates more power and less chance of the defensive lineman splitting the double team. We're looking for our hips to stay together, our shoulders to stay together, and our heads to keep our eyes up so that we can look at that next level when we start to chip off. What we'll often do is walk our kids through things, and this is what we don't want to do there in the first scene, is have a split. Now we got a little bit of an overstyle, but we're keeping that inside foot slightly ahead and then making our way up into the double team. And this is usually how we teach it. We kind of walk kids through it at first and rep it over and over until we get a little bit better. You can see Big 63 there, a little slow getting off the ball. This next one's a much better look at things here. Makes his way in, and we get our push up field. And what we like to talk about on the double team is get the push up field, not so much down the line of scrimmage. One other little trick that we have when teaching the double team is we often start them off in a 2-point stance like we're doing here, framed up inside foot is up, and then begin our push from there, rather than starting them down in a 3-point stance. We take away a couple of the elements of the double team to try to clean some things up, and we found this has been a pretty effective way for us over the years to help clean up some things on the double team, is to walk them into the man that they're double teaming and then make their way up the field out of a 2-point stance rather than a 3. We then eventually will drop them down into the 3 and then work on the double team, getting the man pushed up the field rather than down. The next progression then, of course, is our double team and chip. And what we're looking to do on almost every double team is to get some movement on the original down lineman, and then one of our men will be moving on up to the second level of linebackers and looking to create the second block then. So we're looking for the initial push and then sliding on off onto the next level. Now, on most plays, we pretty much know which man will be chipping on up to the next level, but there are a handful we'll have to read things a little bit depending on the stunt of the linebacker. So when we do drill this, we first start off with a first man chipping off, and then we'll read the linebacker from there, but we try to keep it in that order. And what we're looking to do and what we emphasize is get the double team first, get the 3 or 4 yard movement up the field, and then chip off. Because if we don't take care of level 1, it really doesn't matter what we do with the second level. So it works out much better as we chip at the first, or start the double team at the first level, get movement, and then chip on off as the backside man brings his hips around and creates the final seal. Again, the original double team on up the field, and then the chip on off. One more look at it here. Again, a double, and then 63, maybe a little bit of a quick bounce up to the next level there with the man that he was doubling with. Again, we try to feel with our hips and our shoulders as we get the movement. We try to feel that backside guy pushing us up onto the next level there. So although we talk about 3 or 4 yards movement, we're probably lucky if we get 1 or 2, and 1 or 2 is more than enough on any given play. And again, we'll rep this by having individuals, of course, double and chip. Usually stand behind them and point the linebacker which side I want them to scrape, so the correct man slides on off, and they get used to reading that combination block. I think the important thing here is always to try to do as much as you can as far as having individuals that normally double team in a game together, double team in practice together. And that last one a little bit sloppy there, but hopefully you get the general idea. Now, the next thing that we do is we do a lot of scoop blocking as well. Most of our offense, when you'll see on the tape, is based on having a double team at the point of attack and then zoning the rest of the play. Because we are a running team, we get a tremendous amount of people at the line of scrimmage, so we're always blocking the onside gap for the most part on the backside. What we like to do with our scoop is to step flat towards the inside gap that we're protecting and bring our backside shoulder into the block. What we find is that if you're, at least at the high school level, we believe when you're zoning on the backside, to just use your hands, you really don't have enough strength there to withstand any sort of inside penetration. So we like to bring that inside shoulder where we can get our entire body in front of that defensive lineman and get a pretty good leverage point there as well, with our inside shoulder ripping down, dipping down inside and sealing the man off, because all we need here is a seal. We don't need a push-up field, we just need the seal. So you see a 61 there works his backside shoulder in front of the block there, and that's what we're looking to do. Again, you see a nice step here with the right foot down the line, and then the backside shoulder comes in and we work our head around in front. Very little with the hands. We try to do most of it with the shoulders because, again, we're generally pretty much oversized, and what we're looking to do, again, is to simply get a seal. Pretty good step there by our offensive lineman, getting himself in front and getting the inside sealed off. And again, some quick look here at the practice tape here. 2 offensive linemen backside working their way, and what we tell them to do is just keep fighting, keep working. You may not initially have the block, but if you just continue to make contact and continue to ride down the line of scrimmage, you can indeed eventually get your head in front and so on. But you see the top side man gets driven right back into the chutes, didn't come hard enough. You got to bring the backside shoulder with some authority and get your body in front. And if you do that, you shouldn't get blown back into the backfield. You may not make a great push, but you'll certainly go ahead and get things sealed off. And a pretty good look there again. Then we bring the 2 together and for our combo scoop, because what oftentimes we have is a situation where we want to scoop or zone the backside of a covered man. For example, got a guard and tackle. A tackle would scoop the guard's man. The guard would then move on up to the onside linebacker and create a seal on the backside that way and get people on the second level. So what we do with our front side man is pretty much a base block or a tight reach block, initial pop, a step or 2, and then by that point your backside man should be bringing the shoulder and then overtaking you and pushing you on up to the next level. You do need the initial shot with your front side man to slow down penetration, and that will give your backside man a chance to get there and to push you on up to the next level. So how we drill this very simply is a 2-on-2 situation. We need to keep about a 2-foot split on the scoop and the double team. I found over the years that works best for us. And then, of course, work on the front side man, a little bit of a base block pop, and the backside man scoop and overtake. Pretty good look there. Got a nice initial pop, and then the backside man came through with what needed to be done. Again, going the other way now. Pretty decent pop, backside man, push on up to the second level. And that way we can get a two people blocked much easier than, say, if 63 in that particular shot tries to go on up and block the linebacker head up. It simply won't happen. Now, we do work on our cutting a little bit. We actually do more cutting in our pass blocking than what we ever do in our run blocking. I don't particularly like cutting just because I think it takes you out of the play once you've dove on the ground and so on. So we try to clean that up a little bit with our drill. This is a drill that we do a few times a year, not something that we would do daily because we just don't cut that much. But what we're looking to do on our cut drill is to cut and scramble. And how we'll teach this very simply is do what most people do with the initial cut. Go down towards the knee area as far as your aim point. I think you can be too low on your cut sometimes too, but down in the knee thigh area to get them down off their feet, and then continue to scramble into their legs, and this will keep their hands down. If all you do is cut, pretty good chance they can pop the hands on the top of the helmet, get you down into the ground, and then still be able to bat a pass down, which is usually what you're trying to take away in the first place if you are indeed doing this in the passing game. So again, you get a pretty good look here. We'll cut and then scramble. I'll cut and scramble. Get that initial pop and then scramble. This is something I think you got to be pretty careful with your defensive guys. That you're very protective of them. Keep them up in 2-point stance. You get the general idea from the offensive side, but you never want to get a guy accidentally rolled into the ground just simply trying to teach him how to cut block. Obviously, you can have some real problems if something like that were to happen. So we're very protective of our defense men. But again, the initial pop into the thigh region and then the scramble from that point. Now our trap drill, we do a lot of inside trapping. We don't do a lot of outside pulling type stuff, but we do a fair amount of inside trapping. And what we're looking to do here in our trap drill is a couple points of emphasis. First, we don't like to belly back off the line of scrimmage. We like to keep our trappers right on the line of scrimmage, that we don't want to give ground back, 'cause we feel that the defense lineman has a pretty good chance of getting himself into the play that way. So we'll go ahead and set up a drill. We'll have the trapper going down the line, trapping the individual, whatever distance that you would normally be trapping at. And then what else we do is have a coach, usually myself as line coach, standing on the line of scrimmage. So as he comes down the line, if he hits me, he knows that he's bellied off the line of scrimmage too much. As long as he doesn't touch me, he's staying nice and flat on the line of scrimmage. We like to shoulder block this as well, with the head towards the defensive side of the line of scrimmage. And this makes sure that if he's going to beat us, he's going to beat us upfield. So there we go again there. Pretty good look by 63. Other individuals standing about where I would as coach. Make our way down the line of scrimmage, head to the inside, and then drive on out with a shoulder block from there. We find with the hands, if we do that, oftentimes our head is not placed in the correct position. Going the other way here. A real nice block by 63 here. Head should have been a little bit more to the inside, but a pretty nice pop. And then same with 61. Not as great initial pop, but overall pretty good block. Now we do a lot of fold blocking as well, or step around. I know some people call it horn blocking at the same time. Pretty much we got some sort of gap technique on the front side of a play or the play side of things. And we have a linebacker stack behind, and we've got a 2-for-2, a guard and tackle on those two individuals. And maybe we don't feel like we can quite zone it or scoop it because of penetration problems, but we'll bring the tackle down onto the gapper and then loop our guard around. And what I believe the key on this is the steps. And what we have, if it was the tackle coming down and guard looping around, the tackle is just going to perform a normal down block. And as he would step with his inside foot down on the down block to get the correct aim point, our guard, who would be then looping around or horning around, folding around, would then take his lead foot and put it exactly where the tackle's foot was and replace, grab the outside hip of the tackle and pull himself around. I think this will show it better here. Again, 61 step down, 63 steps around, and on up the field. And we, again, just drill that simply 2-on-2. Again, step around. Need a little bigger step there by 63. Make sure our linebacker scrapes so that we get the aim points right. And it's a little better look there on that one there. And then make our way up the field. But again, your lead person is just a simple down block. Nothing difficult there. And on around. And then depending on our plays, we do some different things with who we might actually fold onto. We can also fold out to an outside linebacker as a kick out type block and then run up inside. We'll simply set them where they need to be. Now to look at it on practice tape here at a little more full speed type of level here. You get a pretty good look here as we have the down block. And then the step around nice and tight. And the other thing I'm looking for as a coach is when they come and step around, I should see really no gap between the two individuals. It should be a nice tight body. The hips should be together as they're coming around. If I see a big seam there, it's going to take too long, and there's a real chance that a linebacker could scrape in between the open area there. So we're looking to keep that very, very tight as they come around. Another pretty good look there, and keeping the heads obviously to the play side. That pretty much concludes our run drills, which brings us into our pass pro. The first one that we do, we simply call a mirror drill, and I think most people are familiar with this. I think it's a standard drill, and it's one of the best drills that you can possibly do for any position on your team when it comes to blocking. We'll set some cones up, sometimes about 5 yards away, and the offensive player's in a good 2-point stance. Knees are bent, down in a good solid crouch. and he will mirror the defensive man, who will spend his time shuffling or running between the two cones back and forth, trying to fake the offensive player out. Things that we're looking for here from the offensive side. First is to try to keep their crotch into the defensive man lined up, not just having a leg in front or so on, but to keep their whole body in front. And then we also like to emphasize keeping the hands up in a striking position and not getting lazy on that. Because again, if you're mirroring correctly, but your hands are down around your knees or your hips, that can be the difference between winning or losing an individual pass pro drill. So again, 68, nice and wide, trying to keep his feet from crossing, hands are up, and he'll mirror again the other individual, go about a 5-6 second burst. I try to always go about a second or two, maybe longer than what you typically would in a regular play, but we're not going to go for 30 seconds because it's just simply not very realistic. So we try to keep it as close as we can. Pretty good look in practice here. The individuals going back and forth. Little problem with the hands there on both of them dropping a bit. A little better look here. A little crossing over, but this gives you a general idea. And in practice, oftentimes, we won't set any cones down. And the reason what we don't is I found that the offensive players cheat a little bit that way. They know where the cone is, and they kind of can slide over a little bit quicker. Sometimes we don't throw the cones down. We just find that they work a little bit harder. Now, the next progression that we add in here then is our mirror lock-on drill is what we call it. It's going to be the same overall drill as before. Where we're mirroring back and forth, but then we're going to do what we call lock on to the defensive man. And that just simply means we're going to put our hands up into the defensive man. So when they're moving back and forth, we get used to the feel of having our hands on the defensive man and so on, and we're locked on, as if you will. And what we're really looking for here more than anything is if I'm standing behind the offensive man, I never want to see the arms or the hands of the offensive player extending. My body should be in front, and those arms, my arms, should pretty much stay right in front of my numbers. If I'm having to extend, if I'm having to reach out, I'm not moving my lower body fast enough or quick enough, and it's going to be very, very difficult to be successful if my arms are not going, are going to have to hold people off rather than having my legs position the body in front of people. So here we go with the lock-on thing. 61 is locked in, moving back and forth. And then we tried to tell the defense then, as the year goes on, we'll pull the shoulders and rip them back and forth a little bit and make the offensive player work then as well. Third progression in our mirror drills is our mirror punch drill. We combine a few things here, the punch of the block and then the mirror technique as well. So we'll have the same situation where the individual will be mirroring back and forth, and what we have to have 2 or 3 times during the course of the drill, we will have the defensive man move up into the offensive man, and we will then time our punch and then reset ourselves, and the defensive man will bounce off, mirror again, and then we will re-punch. And what we're looking for here is the timing of the punch, being able to shuffle and then time your punch, maintaining your balance while you do, and then at the same time keeping your legs separated at all times, not coming together as you punch, not stepping forward, but maintaining the balance, and then getting your arms reset for the next punch. Because oftentimes what's going to happen, of course, in the games, you have your initial punch, there'll be some separation by the defense, they make a move, etc., and then you're probably going to need a re-punch and re-lock on. So here we have the mirror, a punch, we continue to mirror, and at any point the defense can come forward, and then we have a re-punch. And what we're doing as far as in all our drills on the punch part here now, we have 2 target areas. We want to hit either their numbers, or if we have any sort of shoulders face us where they've turned their body slightly, we want to punch the shoulder area of the individual. We want to make sure that we're able to get good solid contact. Another little coaching point that I'm looking for here as much as we can is to have our hands together. We don't want to have the hands wide. We want to bring them together. You get more force that way, and you obviously get a better chance of hitting some meat, if you will, on the defensive player. Pretty decent job there by that individual. Okay, this is just a quick way to get a handful of punches in quickly and learn to reset your feet and reset your hands. What you're going to see here is an offensive man with knees bent and 2 defensive players separated by about 5 yards. One man will come into the offensive player, will have a punch, That player will bounce off, a slight hesitation, and then the second man will come towards him. And what we're looking for here is, of course, the timing of the punch, being able to recock our arms and reset, and then reset our feet as well. We always want to have our body turned towards where we are punching. We never want to reach off to the side slightly. We want to have our feet perfectly squared up to our target area. And this is a nice drill to be able to incorporate all those things: a punch, a reset of the feet, and then of course a reset of the arms, and then another punch after we have reset the feet and the second man comes. So it's a nice drill, maybe not 100% realistic towards game stuff, but what it does give you a great opportunity to force players to work to reset their feet, repunch, and then reset their feet again. And it gives a lot of reps in a short amount of time. And it gets across what hopefully you're trying to do as far as get people with wide bases, good solid hits, good solid punches, and being able to recock and reset themselves. And on our punch, we usually have just a slight backup on our punch. We move back slightly so that we're not leaning forward. So as we punch, they lean back slightly. This is one of the favorite drills that we do to teach the punch. Not my favorite, and that's what we call our shuffle punch. And what we're going to do is we're going to simply shuffle for about 5 to 10 yards down a line, and a defensive man will come into us. He will accept or take in a punch, and then we'll loop back off, and then as both people are shuffling down, he'll re-come into the man. We do this about 3 times, as you'll see here on the tape. And what we're looking from the defensive side is for him to either give us the numbers or give us a shoulder, like a dip and rip type of situation. And what the offensive man gets used to doing is punching numbers, or again punching the shoulder of the defensive man as he makes his way into him. And it's again another real quick way to get a lot of things done here: a good shuffle from an offensive lineman, a good punch, and then a great drill as far as aim points on the punch as well, which I think oftentimes are overlooked. So again, as we shuffle, we got to punch into the numbers, punch into the shoulder, punch into the numbers, and the defensive man can do whatever he so chooses to the offensive man. But again, I think it gives us a pretty good gauge at doing things correctly, and giving the kids a little guidance on the offensive side about how to shuffle and how to punch and where to put your punches and so on. Because I think oftentimes that is some overlooked things, that there is some technique in the simplest things of punching. Now 63, as you can see, is getting pretty tired here from doing these things and getting a little bit high there. And this is a look at our practice here. Real nice. And I think one of the biggest teaching points on this one, besides what I've talked about previously, is making sure this drill is under control. Don't go too fast. Let them shuffle. Let them go nice and slow and get their repetitions in. The final drills here is what we call our balance drill, and we really like this drill as well. What we'll do is have the offensive man fit up into the defensive man, and the defensive man will force them side to side, front to back. And we talk to our offensive players about what we call sitting in the chair. Our offensive player is formed up and in essence is almost sitting in a little bit of a high chair, if you will. And we want to maintain that framed position, just like we kind of do in the run game, regardless of what the defensive man is doing to us. We don't want to lean too far forward when we're getting pulled forward. We don't want to snap our shoulders too far back. We don't want to lean side to side too much. We want to keep that perfect balanced position, which will give us a chance when we actually go into live one-on-one type situations and we have moves and we have movement by the defense. This is a great drill to help keep your kids balanced up and so on. So as you can see here, the offensive man is framed up. Defensive man has the shoulder pads, making his way front to back here. You can also work in side-to-side movements, but it's a great drill, again, to force that offensive lineman to keep their feet, to keep their hips over their feet, and to keep the hips over the knees as well. So that concludes the drills. A few of the questions I've been asked about is how many of these drills do you do? Typically, we practice offense and defense both of our hard days of the week. Most people have 2 hard practices, and every day we're going to do our steps, our first 2 steps, the frame wave, the base block, the down block. We like to do a stick drill every day, linebacker base, and double team. We will do those drills every day. The remaining run drills, I'll very simply pretty much split right down the middle and do them every other day. We do devote a tremendous amount of time to fundamental time, so I think you got to play around with things depending on your situation. But the rest of the drills, again, will be more on an every other day type of basis, but I think these are key that you do them every day. One of the ways we're able to do as many of these is that we only go 1 or 2 reps per day, which of course ends up to be about 5 or 6 over the course of 2 days. And then everyday pass drills, what we try to do is try to do some sort of shuffle drill, some sort of one of the punch drills, and then the one-on-one pass pro. And that's primarily because we're much more of a running team, so we don't do all of the pass pro drills every day. But I think it is important to incorporate one of the shuffle type drills, one of the mirror drills, if you will, and then a punching drill. And then I like to do the shuffle and the punch drill every day because I think it really incorporates both of those. And then we do a lot of just simple one-on-one pass pro work, which I think you have to do because that's the one time the players are really out there on an island, and the technique that you'll use on those are all kind of up to your own particular system and what you do. I hope you've enjoyed the DVD and felt like you got your money's worth here and got a lot of different things that you can take back to your program. I now have quite a few different items from offense and defense line DVDs, and our 50 DVD special teams, and our practice planning DVD as well, along with wide receiver, running back drill DVD, and the practice planning packet. My website is mentioned there. And free webcams. All the items are just $15, and we do have some package deals on them as well. So please, if you've not bought all of them and you enjoyed this one, I'm pretty confident the other ones are very, very informative as well. And if you ever just have some questions about football or what we're doing here, don't ever hesitate to give me or shoot me an email, I should say, at mike_27_1@yahoo.com. And I'm always glad to talk football and go over some things, or I may bounce some ideas off of you as well in your situation. So again, thank you for your purchase, and I hope you found the DVD enjoyable. Thanks again. And remember, with the purchase of this DVD, there's some game footage which will be coming up here in just a few short seconds. So just stay tuned, and the game footage should be coming up any moment here. Thanks again.